The Fanatics. Audio version. Short story by George and Linda B. Eva and Raven were patrolling to the extreme north of their territory. The limits of this area were bounded by a significant river that usually contained large sections of unfordable whitewater. She and Raven targeted this specific location because this was the one place where an easy crossing could be made. They found a very large group of people camped on the far side. From their view they estimated an encampment that numbered in the hundreds. The smoke from the cooking fires alone was so thick that it was hard to see the entire group clearly. There was no doubt this camp was there for a reason. Eva could hear dogs barking and rhythmic drums beating. Her intuition was in high gear. The scene made the hair stand up on the back of her neck. She knew this was a major threat. The warrior and Birdmount with them were instructed to return to the boneyard and alert every person able to defend their home territory. Time was important because once the invaders were over the river it would be much more difficult to repel them. Limp was accompanying Raven and Eva, but Credo was back at the yard. He had a mate now and was living with his family in the wilderness on the far side of the boneyard thermals. He occasionally came to the Rockpile village to visit, but that had become less and less frequent. The three bedded down for the night and Eva did not sleep well at all. She had not been this upset for several cycles. She kept hearing things from across the river that disturbed her. There were yells and screams not known to her or her people. She had interacted with several human clans over the years, but this one was distinctive and disturbing. The next morning there were 3 human bodies hanging from the trees along the river. Did these humans know she was on the other side of the water, and was this a warning? Was this some preparation for an invasion, or was this their normal behavior? If these bodies be psychological warfare, it was working. Eva was spooked. 2 days after the bodies were seen, several dugout canoes were being readied to cross the river. Eva prayed her reinforcements would arrive before the primitive crafts were launched. It would only take a few minutes for them to reach her side of the river. A group of warriors, all men with painted bodies and shaved heads, gathered on the opposite shore. They started with a war chant. It grew louder and louder. A ram's horn was blown several times and the men jumped into the canoes. She estimated the number to be about 50 in the first wave. However, behind them were enough to fill the canoes several times. All in all she estimated probably 300 frenzied warriors. Their weapons were very long spears, large knives and hatchets. To her relief they did not appear to possess bows, nor did they seem to have spear levers either. The canoes also carried a few canines. She didn't think they would be willing to negotiate. Eva had no doubt they were violent invaders. Quickly she did a calculation. The entire population of the Boneyard Alliance was probably around 500 men, women, children, and terror birds. In her opinion, this group through simple attrition could defeat them. Eva could not allow defeat. Almost on cue 50 mounted warrior pairs from the Rockpile village arrived. They brought the full assemblage of weapons, spears with spear levers, bows and arrows, slings, obsidian knives, stone hatchets, sacks of pitch and torches. The combined clans could use young saplings when available and use them to create crude catapults to launch pitch that was on fire. Though the airborne fireballs were very inaccurate, they proved to be a fantastic psychological weapon. Fire raining down from above was devastating. Most adversaries were very terrified by such things, especially in the dawn hours. The clans had improved other weapons as well. Eva had perfected the slings by using hardened clay sling stones. These were all the same weight and size, making them several times more accurate than ever before. A sling expert could kill a man at 150 yards with one stone if he struck the person in the head. Her best sling users could hit an animal on the run 3 out of 4 times with deadly results. What to do? She did not want to meet the enemy in the water because the river bottom here was full of silt and mud. The attackers could become bogged down and be at a tactical disadvantage. Eva decided to take half of her riders, 25 in total, and rushed to the river's edge as a show of force in front of the invaders. She hoped the newcomers seeing the terror birds with human riders would spook them. At this point the canoes split into two groups. One headed down river and the other continued forward. Raven gave a warning scream with the familiar 3 yells, each one louder than the one before. Eva ordered the remaining riders to follow the attack boats going down river. Eva took her sling and launched a stone at the forward canoe. It hit the water and splashed the occupants. The response was predictable. Several spears were launched at her position from the lead craft. None of the spears found their mark, but the attackers obviously tried to injure or kill anyone on the shore. As this confrontation was happening, another wave of canoes appeared on the opposite bank and were being launched into the river. Eva knew her sudden show of force, terror birds and all, was not enough to discourage a bloody fight. So be it. She had not survived this long to allow her home to be ravaged by these creatures. However, she did wait to see what the first invaders to land on her soil would do. She allowed the initial canoe to land. As they jumped on the shore, she and Raven stood within weapons distance from them. She had her warriors stand down their weapons. She stood as high on Raven's back as possible and yelled, pointing with her extended hand toward the opposite shore. Her intent was obvious: return or die. The response was a fanatical yell as the group rushed them with axe and spear. The first 5 from the primitive crafts didn't take 10 steps before they were all dead. The next canoe landing did the same thing. Then Eva gave the order to rain arrows, spears and sling stones on the remaining invaders in the river. In seconds half the canoes were denuded of warriors and the remaining turned back and disrupted the wave behind them. Eva was told the white water downriver had wrecked the other half of the raiding party. And all but a few invaders that did not drown swam to their side of the river. The first confrontation ended without one boneyard casualty. The invaders probably lost 30 members and several more injured. Eva hoped this was enough to discourage this despicable group of humans. It always amazed her how caring and wonderful her species could be and how awful they could become. What was the difference? She could only speculate. The Boneyard security force remained camped opposite the invaders along the river. Eva watched to see if she could learn more about these fanatical and violent humans. Each evening they started their ceremonies with their drums deep into the night. The next morning one or more persons would be hanging from a tree for all to see. Eva prayed the animals would soon tire and leave. However, it seemed more were collecting on the opposing shore with every night of the standoff. Eva was amazed at their illogical and aberrant behavior. Once something got into their heads, they were unable to turn from its insanity. They shaved their heads, painted their bodies, yelled continually, and beat drums. That was their good points. At night they would yell louder, beat more drums, and left dead bodies in the trees. At least they didn't kill their dogs to her knowledge. From what she observed, the men seemed to be the only members allowed to be warriors. She never saw women or children, except in large groups at the far end of their encampment. A few children were seen, but never without an adult female close by and several armed men within eyesight. Her intuition was these women and children were the property of a few warlords or strong men. The rest of the fanatics were warriors to be expended as the strong men determined. In response to the enemy's build-up, Eva requested more warriors as well. Her contingent grew from the original 50 to a force of well over 130 mounted pairs. She dared not recruit more and leave the Boneyard helpless. One of her scouts had reported seeing a group of what they were now calling the fanatics at a part of the river which was above a deep gorge but where the river shores were the narrowest. There were very tall trees on the fanatics' side. If perfectly cut to fall across the river, the trees were tall enough to form a bridge and allow an invasion. While Eva was in deep thought, Credo arrived unexpectedly and was very agitated. Eva, Raven and Limp immediately followed. She left her forces under the command of one of her trusted clansmen and took 20 riders with her. Without knowing anything else, Eva sensed what had happened. While her forces had been tied down at the river crossing, the fanatics had outflanked them in a location she had not anticipated. Credo led them up to the headwaters of the raging river. High in the stone mountains where the glacier hung over the ledges like a white and blue giant, Eva could see a line of men while negotiating the switchbacks that occasionally allowed a direct line of sight. It appeared to her that there were probably at least 100 armed fanatics. The problem was they were above her forces, giving the enemy the high ground and a natural tactical advantage. Her heart was in her throat. She immediately sent one of her riders to the river to get reinforcements. Eva knew she had to stop this flanking force but knew that her remaining troops would most likely be under attack simultaneously at the river and gorge. She had to devise a strategy to delay or defeat the attackers bearing down on her. Hoping the invaders had not seen her war party yet, Eva ordered everyone to remain still and under cover as much as possible. She still might have the element of surprise, however, she assumed when the fight was engaged, she would have no more warriors than she did at this moment. In these tight spaces she aligned her fighters in the following way. There was a pinch point near a raging waterfall where tall trees hung over a whitewater stream that had to be crossed by the fanatics. This would cause them to bunch up on the high side of the trail. Her best archers would dismount and climb the tall trees, giving them direct shots at the invaders. Any not killed by a hail of arrows and sling stones would be met by the terror birds as the enemy emerged from the raging stream and climbed a steep bank to continue their assault. Back at the river the drums were beating at a frenzy and the ram's horn sounded. The canoes were about to launch and at the gorge the trees were being cut. This time the boneyard was more prepared. The catapults were ready. On the local commander's order everything launched. The burning pitch bags flew into the sky and reached the canoes lined up on the opposing riverbank. The fire spread immediately, sticking on everything it hit. Many of the assembled fanatics caught fire and jumped into the water. Some of the canoes that launched overturned. At the gorge the men cutting the trees were within easy range of the archers. Every time one of them took a hatchet to a tree, an arrow either hit the tree or the person with an axe. The boats that reached the boneyard's side of the river didn't have a chance. Most of the invaders were killed before they got out of their crude watercraft. The fanatics had upped their tactics and launched rafts upstream as far as they could, and the stable platform of the rafts allowed them to launch their spears with better effect. While this was a surprise, the warriors with the catapults and pitch bags adjusted to assault the rafts. In short order these new warships were on fire. Within an hour it was over. The assault had been repelled. Again, the fanatics lost dozens if not hundreds of their warriors. The Boneyard Alliance had some badly injured but none killed. Eva's messenger arrived long after the assault was over. The commander at the riverbank immediately sent 50 riders upriver to reinforce Raven and Eva's stand. However, it would be at least 2 hours before they would arrive. Eva, Raven and their warriors were set. The fanatics were bearing down on them. She expected to see the first invader to appear above the waterfall any second. She decided to allow the first dozen through without assault. This tactic would bunch the first group of fanatics together as they tried to climb the steep stream bank. The surprise attack of the terror birds would then be all the more effective. The top of the bank was not visible from the falls. Credo climbed the rocks above the attackers and could disrupt the already disoriented and frightened attackers once things got started. To Eva's surprise she spotted what appeared to be some dry brush and dead trees that were piled up just below the trail. To get a flaming arrow there would be difficult, but it was worth a try. She asked for a volunteer to climb a difficult set of rocks to see if she could get a couple of flaming arrows to ignite the combustibles below. The warrior was to launch her arrows after the first group arrows were launched at the invaders over the falls. If the fire got large enough, this could divide the fanatics into 3 distinct sections. The first section was from the falls to the steep stream bank, the next from the falls to the fire, and the third section from the fire to the trailing invaders. Credo could then harass the trailing fanatics. The fire could terrorize the second group along with the archers at the fall's pinch point, and the terror birds will mop up the most forward group at the steep stream bank. Once everyone was in place, the Boneyard clans didn't have to wait long. The fanatics topped the falls and were proceeding down the incredibly steep trail. If one lost his footing, severe injury or death would likely occur. Eva patiently counted as the first dozen climbed down. As number 12 started to descend, Eva gave the order to fire at the enemy bunched at the top of the falls. Raven gave his familiar war yell and the terror birds positioned themselves in anticipation of the invaders reaching the top of the stream bed. The fire arrow flew into the pile of brush, tree limbs, and dried tree trunks. Eva thought she didn't have enough arrows, sling stones, and spears to stop the assault but could delay the invasion significantly. She prayed reinforcements would arrive before they were overrun. Eva knew she had cheated death many times in her short life, but this time death might find her. The first arrows found their mark, killing at least 5 fanatics at the top of the falls. This temporarily halted the descent of the main force. The dozen in the stream bed reached the top of the steep incline. As each one rose above the top, they were decapitated by the large hatchet-like beaks of the terror birds. None of the first group even were aware of the greeting at the top. However, their headless bodies on the bank would warn the ones that would follow. Behind the falls and between it and the smoke and fire, panic was raging. A few of the invaders fell to their death on the rugged rocks below. Their leaders were yelling and striking their fellow fanatics. They were pushing some of them off the trail to their death to remind the others to do as they were told. More and more attackers were climbing down the trail at the falls. They even lowered ropes secured at the top to send greater numbers down at one time. As these stormed the stream bank, they were being killed by the terror birds. However, the birds were getting very fatigued and it would not be long before they would be overwhelmed. The Boneyard archers were out of arrows and were relying on slings only. The sling stone supply would soon end as well. Eva then gave the order for the archers to climb down and the terror birds to retreat. It was time to live and fight another day. Everyone mounted and retreated. Their speed would prevent them from being caught by the fanatics, but the clan members and terror birds were exhausted and needed food and rest. Eva took inventory. All her warriors and terror birds were well. A few of the birds had minor injuries from the fight at the stream bed. Credo was still up in the rocks above the falls. Limp was by her side. She estimated they had killed or wounded about 1/3 of the fanatics in this invasion group. However, she knew the news of their success would be followed by additional waves of invaders. After an hour run from the falls, the reinforcements met Eva and her defenders. Eva had to decide what to do. She needed to know what the invaders were doing. She decided to send some scouts back to try to determine the situation. Had the invaders stopped to lick their wounds, or had they continued with the objective to attack the river defenders from the rear? They could have divided their forces and sought other objectives. Eva was so tired it was hard to think. She bet there would soon be more fanatics following the first group. The enemy's spies would now have open access to the entire region. Even though Eva and her comrades were able to pin down the flanking invaders temporarily, it was decided these fanatics were like ants in an ant hill. There were simply too many, and they were without human reason or compassion, having no respect for anyone's life, including their own people's. Eva decided to remove her fighters from the river. They would disappear into the basin, where there was water and the clans could stockpile food. In addition, the combined group could man the tops of the canyon walls and defend the only ground-level entrance. She thought, "We will take the young bison we have pinned in the village and raise them for food. We will then burn the village and use the thermal area in the boneyard to deploy attack squads to harass the fanatics. The enemy will not easily track us because of the maze of thermals, pools, and steam. It will be a graveyard for them if they try. We will keep lookouts in the tall trees and maintain observers all day and all night." When Eva arrived at the river, she gathered her forces and told them the sad news. They wanted to stand and fight, but she told them their families were more important than their pride. The fanatics had so many fighters they could lose 10 to their 1, and those odds were unacceptable. She did not intend to surrender, but told them never to fight on the battlefield that favors your enemy. We will fight in a way the terror birds did when the human clan first arrived at the boneyard. Always fight when you have overwhelming strength, make your enemy fight when you want to and not when they choose. We will disappear into our home ground, we will watch our enemy until we know more about him than he knows about himself. We will win this war if we are patient and resourceful. We are not surrendering, we are fighting in a new direction and with new tactics. To be continued.